name is Josey, and you're watching my Celebrating Her interview with Rare Radar.
So, I guess you could just tell a little about yourself and how you got started in music.
Okay, I got started, I was in the church, but I had stage fright, so my mom put me into a lot of musical activities outside of school. I was in Youth Ensemble of Atlanta, Broadway Dreams, and I also went to Tri-Cities High School in East Point in Atlanta. So, and I was in the magnet program and did a lot of music theater at Tri-Cities, so I kind of started with that, basically.
That's awesome. So I did read that you started from Broadway theater. So how do you feel like your background in theater has prepared you as a solo R&B artist?
I think it's preparing me because doing 8 shows a week in a theater, day after day after day, you start getting different kind of armor and different kind of things that you can pull and take and use outside of it, and I use that on stage as an actual artist. It's different when you're in an ensemble and you're in a musical and you're not the lead character, and so you have other people to depend on, and so now it's you have to transfer that and actually be the only person that you're depending on yourself and doing it for your own music on stage as a music artist. Yeah.
That's awesome. So I know you're from Atlanta, correct?
Indeed.
And so Atlanta is the home of a lot of different legends, R&B and hip hop. So when you think about your legacy and what you want to bring to the culture, what does that look like?
I would love to bring orchestral music back to modern music, and being from Atlanta and knowing that it also has a big music theater type of scene as well, underground. So when I was in Tri-Cities, I would sit in the pit. I did this on Broadway too, but I would sit in the orchestra pit and I would just listen to them play all their instruments, and I would fall in love with that. But knowing that I'm from Atlanta, you gotta figure out a way to bring that back home for your people so they can, really enjoy that and ingest that for themselves. And that's really what I want to do. I kind of see myself being a Cab Calloway or of some sort, or a Duke Ellington for our modern time, but I just sing on the side, you know what I mean? So yeah, I kind of want to do that. I feel like that could be a real cool thing to bring to Atlanta as well. Another little notch in our belt.
And so you also, of course, you're starting to step out in front of the, front of the mic and do things like that. But you also have been pivotal in the lives of other different artists with writing and things like that. So talk about that, how you got into writing for other artists and what that experience looks like.
Okay, well, first I've been writing since I was young, and I didn't really think that my first career was going to be a writer. I thought I'd just jump into being a singer, but I wasn't even me jumping into a singer first. So I was on Broadway. When I was on Broadway, I would write during my breaks, and when it was in between shows, I would write, and I would write all my songs, and I wrote my first EP. So once I put that out, a whole bunch of people was oh dang, she can really write. Okay. I was oh man, people was she could really write. So I ended up getting some buzz from Sony Music Publishing, and they signed me as a writer, and I was writing for a lot of Atlanta artists, underground, artists. And then one day they had I don't know how it happened, it wasn't no raffle, but I think Ari had a list of people that they had just put, okay, who you want to write with. And I think she listened through some stuff. This is from what I've heard, and then she picked it, and then one day they had made me go into the studio with her. I was nervous as all get out, and she probably know. I think we've had that conversation, or maybe she know, but basically it just happened like that. They picked me, and then I went in and I wrote the song in less than 30, and then after that she just would call me again, and I would be there to write for her. So
yes, thank you. Your one song you have, the death of a black girl. It follows the theme of self-love. So how do you practice self-love and self-care? What does that look like for you?
I make habits for myself. My mind goes every which way, and I have to I get overwhelmed, I get anxious and stressed a lot of times, and so for myself and my mind going, everywhere I have to make habits for myself. I gotta tell myself, okay, I'm gonna wake up, I'm gonna drink my water, I'm gonna go take my dog for a walk. And after I go take my dog for a walk, I'm gonna pray. And then after I pray, I'm gonna eat. And after I eat, I'm gonna do this, that, and the third, and the list goes on. And then like maybe on a day where it's like a trip up, like, oh, it messed up my habit, I take like deep breaths to adapt to what's happening right then and there. Because knowing me, like I'll have a panic attack, I'll get stressed, I'll start crying. So like I just take time to like breathe and pray and remember, you know, I'm okay. I constantly have to tell myself that I'm okay, that I'm all right, and that I'm walking within purpose, and that, you know, if this little hiccup is actually happening right now, there's gonna be another day where it's not gonna be there. And I just have to move through it like that. And that's how I practice self-care. I practice self-care by breathing and reassuring myself that I am all right.
Like, as you grow into your artistry, what do you feel like has been the biggest lesson that you have learned? Or that you'll take with you?
Growing into my artistry, the biggest lesson that I've learned is to not take no for an answer. Right now, I'm trying to get my music mixed. And somebody done lost my stems to one of the biggest songs that's on my EP right now. And they're like, well, we can use the old vocals. I'm like, the only reason why I liked the song now is because I sound better, I sound more mature, and these vocals, the new vocals, is what made me, you know, be happy. And they was like, no, we can use the old ones, we can use the old ones. I'm not a passive person, but it has taken me a while to say no, or to, you know, stand firmly on myself and stand firmly on the fact that of my thoughts. So like I said no. Being able to like finally like stand firmly on 2 feet, knowing of your artistry and knowing your mind, like, okay, well, I'm obviously in this place for a reason, so obviously my judgment is right, and obviously if I feel like I should say no right now, I'm gonna say it, and I should say it. So
absolutely,
yeah.
And so when it comes to womanhood, like what does that what does being a woman mean to you?
What does being a woman mean to me? It means being privileged enough to know that I got something that don't nobody else got. You know what I mean? I feel like us as women, we go through a lot mentally, and it's like, you know, we go through a lot physically and emotionally. I mean, humans go through a lot mentally, physically, and emotionally, but like it's just a different walk of life. Like it's just a different path, you know. Being a woman, it's a different path, and to myself, it's a privilege. It's just like being a black woman is a privilege to me. I feel very lucky to be a woman, because God knows pretty do hurt, and them heels hurt when I walk on stage every night, and I got a bunion on my left pinky toe, and I hate putting on lashes, but I wouldn't have it any other way. You know what I mean? Like, being a woman to me just means that I'm blessed in a way that I can only experience.